Liverpool have found their Trent replacement. Jeremie Frimpong is headed to Anfield, and this might go down as the best signing of the summer when you factor in how cheap this deal was. 35 million euro release clause. That is nothing, especially for a player that's had the output that he's put up over the last 2 seasons. We know that the transfer market is super inflated. And it kind of feels like Leverkusen got finessed. But that release clause was there, and Liverpool took full advantage of that. Also, we know that they're chasing Florian Wirtz. Jeremie Frimpong might be able to convince him to join Liverpool. But I need you guys to get in the comment section and let me know what you think about this deal. Don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on those post notifications. Now, it looks like Liverpool are going to be in for a big summer. Last summer, right, they didn't do much. I think they only signed Chiesa and the goalkeeper from Valencia, Mamardashvili, who's a very good goalkeeper and is probably going to be Alisson's replacement in the future. But Arne Slot wasn't backed the way that you would expect a first-year manager to be. Now, this season, Liverpool caught everybody by surprise. They went on to win the Premier League. And now, this summer, I think they're going to strengthen. And they have to. Because Man City are going to spend money. Arsenal are going to look to improve. Chelsea, all these other clubs, Newcastle. The Premier League next season is going to be very competitive, like it normally is, even though I still believe that it's the most entertaining Farmers League in the world. You guys can get in the comment section. We can argue about that, okay? La Liga is better. But because there's the Big Six, and then there's like the top 8, there's about, I'd say, you can kind of predict who's going to win the Prem every season. But I'd say like the top 4 race and the teams in that top half, like from 1st all the way to 9th. I feel like nobody can ever perfectly predict where teams will finish. So that does make it interesting because of all the money that they have to spend. But as far as Liverpool are concerned, they need to have a big window. Arne Slot needs to be backed, and it looks like they're not messing around. They've already brought Trent's replacement in, and Jeremie Frimpong is going to line up at that right back spot. Now, it's not easy to replace Trent. I don't think there's any fullback in the world that can do what he was able to. Maybe Reece James, but Reece James can't stay fit to save his life. So they are losing quality, but they've gotten the next best thing, and that's Frimpong. Now, I am a little bit skeptic about this deal because Frimpong is a player that I don't view as a right back, right? When you look at what he did at Leverkusen, he was a wing back, right? And Xabi Alonso ran a back 3. When you watch Jeremie Frimpong for the national team, right, with Holland, he lines up as a right winger. This guy is not a defender at all. And I know that some people are going to get in the comment section and say, well, Trent couldn't defend either. Trent is a much better defender than Jeremie Frimpong. So it's going to be interesting to see how Arne Slot uses him, right? Because they run a back 4 at Liverpool. He's going to start at right back. But luckily, he's going to have Konate and Van Dijk to cover the space that he leaves when he overlaps. It's going to be interesting to see how how him and Mohamed Salah on that right-hand side, like what kind of tandem or what kind of partnership will they form? Because that's going to be a very dangerous side. Mohamed Salah, right, this past season, phenomenal. And now you're going to have Jeremie Frimpong, who is a speed merchant. The guy can overlap, can put crosses into the box, cuts inside, is a decent finisher. But again, defensively, this is where the issues that I'm raising come. Because Liverpool do not run a back 3. So I wonder, how does Slot plan on using him? But him going to Liverpool, it does make sense, right? Liverpool are used to having a fullback that's very attack-minded. Now, Jeremie Frimpong is not as good of a passer as Trent is, right? He's not going to be like that deep-lying playmaker. Frimpong doesn't usually, in my opinion, I don't think he's that good at set pieces. For me, he's very direct, right? He likes to invert, but he can also overlap as well, can cross the ball into the box, right? He's very pacey, very tricky. That's going to be an advantage for them. And even though I am a bit skeptical of the defensive side of things, I believe that because of how cheap it costs to get him, you had to do this deal. Because any other fullback that was putting up those kind of numbers that he was at Leverkusen, you'd have had to pay like 60 million for him, right? Like that's how much Leverkusen would have probably wanted if he didn't have that release clause. Now, when you're playing for Liverpool, because they dominate possession, it's going to be interesting to see how he lines up when teams are in low blocks, right? In the Bundesliga, the games are back and forth, right? It's like watching the NBA. Like in Germany, you get a lot of space to run into. And I feel like he benefited from that. Now, he is coming back to England. I believe he used to be in Man City's academy, and he did start as a right back. So this is not a position that's unfamiliar to him. But again, when I've watched him at Leverkusen, I see him so advanced that it's just hard for me to see him as a defender now. So I think Slot, right, tactically, he's shown that he's able to get the best out of the players. I mean, look at what he did with Gravenberch, for example, right? Gravenberch last season underneath Jurgen Klopp was dead food. Now he's considered one of the best DMs in the Premier League, right? So we have to give Slot credit. I think the guy does know what he's doing. So if he said that he wants Jeremie Frimpong, and of course with the price tag that comes along with a player like him, you had to go get him. And if you look, Liverpool got a Dutch contingent over there, right? You got Van Dijk, you have Cody Gakpo, Arne Slot, Ryan Gravenberch, and then now you got Jeremie Frimpong. I don't think there's anybody else that I'm forgetting, but this is going to be a good signing for them. I think he'll do well, but when teams are attacking, I just want to see how that works out when he's in a 1v1 situation, because I know a lot of people complained about Trent. I think you're going to have very similar complaints about Jeremie Frimpong, but what he offers you on the ball, very good. Again, fast, can overlap, can link play, right? Him and Mo Salah are going to be dangerous on that right-hand side. And if you look at what he's done at Leverkusen, right, he was a big part in that season where they went invincible, did a domestic double, right? They disrupted the order in Germany, right? They were the first team, aside from Bayern, to win that league in over a decade. Do you know how crazy that is? Like, Leverkusen actually made the Bundesliga relevant for a season or two. I know that this past season they've fallen off, but I think they already accomplished so much for a club that didn't really have expectations that who really cares, right? Leverkusen are about to get raided. I thought this would happen last summer, right? Usually when smaller teams have a really good season, that same summer, their squad is dismantled, right? Clubs come in and they buy their best players, but Leverkusen held on to everybody. But it looks like this is the summer where everyone heads out, right? Xabi Alonso's going to Real Madrid. Jeremie Frimpong is heading to Liverpool. Florian Wirtz, there's a whole transfer battle going on for him. And I think Liverpool, right, they're probably going to look to use Jeremie Frimpong as somebody to convince Florian Wirtz. That's also another reason why this deal might go down as the signing of the summer. Because you know how they're teammates at Leverkusen. It doesn't mean that they're friends, but you would think that they have a good relationship, right? You travel with this guy, you play with them week in, week out. Maybe he's like, yo, Florian, what you saying, bro? Let's go to Liverpool. They just won the Premier League. And I know that Liverpool aren't viewed as that attractive of a club because they usually do get rejected. But I just got a feeling that they are going to be very busy this window, right? They got their right back. Now they need to go and get a striker, right? They need to get somebody that can take the pressure off of Salah. Also, one thing that I forgot to bring up, Jeremie Frimpong, right? When the AFCON comes up and when Mo Salah is missing for the tournament, right? When he's at AFCON during the middle of the season, Jeremie Frimpong can also line up at right wing. And then you can start Connor Bradley at right back. So I think they're going to do some different things with him, right? I would not be surprised if you do see him line up in different areas on the pitch, depending on what Slot wants to do. But look, I think it's a good signing, right? I think it's a high reward, low risk kind of move. Only 35 million euros. Somebody tell me, what is that in pounds? Like, that's nothing. Like, I know that Leverkusen are sitting back, like, why did we add this release clause in the deal? But get in the comment section, as I said, let me know what you think about Jeremie Frimpong headed to Liverpool. Will he work? Because he definitely has the pace and power, but I don't know. We got to see. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel.